He's going to eat my heart. That's what Tracy Edwards screamed as he ran out of apartment 213, handcuffed and terrified, into the streets of Milwaukee. I can still picture it. July 22nd, 1991. That moment changed everything. Police followed his lead and entered the apartment. One of the officers stepped into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and froze. Then he turned and said the words I'll never forget. He's got a head in the fridge. What they found inside was worse than anyone imagined. Body parts, photographs, chemicals, and a man who'd been killing quietly for years.
I was branching out. That's when the cannibalism started. Eating of the heart and the arm muscle. It was a way of making me feel that were a part of me.
How did no one see it coming? How did Jeffrey Dahmer, a quiet man living in plain sight, become one of the most terrifying serial killers in American history? This is the story of manipulation, madness, and the nightmare hidden behind his door. On May 21st, 1960 in Milwaukee, Jeffrey Dahmer was born, who is an average suburban kid, withdrawn, fascinated by death. He enlisted in the Army in 1979, but was discharged. At 18, feeling isolated and drinking heavily, he picked up hitchhiker Stephen Hicks on June 18, 1978. They talked and drank until Hicks tried to leave. Enraged, Dahmer bludgeoned him with a dumbbell, strangled him, and dismembered the body, his first killing. He scattered Hicks's remains in the woods, concealing a brutal secret that would haunt him and others for years. After Hicks's murder, Dahmer drifted, flunking out of college, joining the Army, then returning to living with his grandmother in Milwaukee. He took menial jobs while drowning in alcohol and secrecy. He struggled with identity, sexuality, and growing compulsions. There were arrests for disorderly conduct and indecent exposure, but the weight of suspicion never fell fully on him. In November 1987, Jeffrey met 25-year-old Stephen Twomey at a bar. They went to a motel, where Jeffrey assaulted him, a blackout killing he later couldn't recall. He brought Twomey's body home, dismembered it in the basement, dissolved flesh in acid, boiled the skull, and threw it away except for the bleached bones, which he briefly kept before destroying them. The act shattered the silence in his soul and set the pattern. In March 1989, Jeffrey killed Anthony Sears at his grandmother's house, decapitated him, and kept the skull and genitals. He photographed the act. Next came Raymond Smith in 1990 at North 25th Street, drugged, strangled, his skeleton painted and locked away. David Thomas followed. Jeffrey took Polaroids but disposed of his parts entirely. Each death fed the obsession. Each trophy stoked his frenzy. At the Oxford Apartments, 1991, Jeffrey lured Curtis Straughter, strangled him, preserved skull, hands, genitals. Then Errol Lindsay drilled into his skull and injected hydrochloric acid. Lindsay awoke, begged Jeffrey to kill him. He did. Tony Hughes suffered a similar fate. These experiments reveal a mind trying to break victims into submission control through anatomical bondage. On May 26, 1991, Jeffrey picked up 14-year-old Connor Synthesumphone. After drugging and partially molesting him, Jeffrey left him wandering naked outside. Bystanders called police, but Jeffrey convinced officers they were lovers. The boys were returned and Jeffrey killed him the next day. Officer inaction highlights chilling police failure. The tragedy haunted the city and Jeffrey continued. In quick succession, Jeffrey killed Matt Turner, Jeremiah Weinberger, drilled and boiled, Oliver Lacey, head and fridge, and Joseph Breithoft, all before July 1991. The pace escalated, trophies multiplied, rituals evolved. The apartment became a chamber of horrors and Jeffrey's confidence soared even as his humanity crumbled. July 22, 1991, Jeffrey invited Tracy Edwards to pose for photographs. Once inside, Edwards saw acid drums, smelled decay, and realized his peril. He escaped, flagged down police, saying, "He's going to eat my heart." Officers followed and found the atrocity. For severed heads in the kitchen, hearts in the fridge, torsos steaming in acid. Jeffrey was arrested on the spot. He reportedly murmured, For what I did, I should be dead. In Interrogation, Jeffrey confessed to 17 murders over 178 pages. He detailed necrophilia, cannibalism, I saved hearts to eat later, acid, posing, drinking victims' blood, and building an altar. Police described the scene more like dismantling someone's museum. The confession exposed meticulous depravity, but also a man seeking purpose through darkness. January 1992. Jeffrey pleaded guilty but insane to 15 counts. The prosecution argued he was sane and knew right from wrong. The jury agreed that Jeffrey was legally sane. On February 17th, he delivered a remorseful statement, asking for maximum sentence, denying hatred as his motive. He received 15 consecutive life sentences. In May 1992, Jeffrey pleaded guilty in Ohio for the murder of Stephen Hicks, the first killing. He received a 16th life sentence. His remorse or finality seemed hollow in the face of an unthinkable legacy. On November 28, 1994, inside a grim corridor of Columbia Correctional Institution, Jeffrey was mopping floors with two other inmates, Jesse and Christopher. No guards, no cameras, just thick, echoing silence. Suddenly, Christopher snapped. He grabbed a metal bar and brutally smashed it into Jeffrey's skull. Again and again. Bones shattered. Blood sprayed across the walls. The air reeked of iron and fury. Jeffrey didn't scream. He just collapsed, broken and silent. But it wasn't over. Moments later, Christopher tracked down Jesse, the man who stabbed his wife to death and blamed it on two innocent black men. Christopher raised the bar again and savagely beat Jesse until he stopped moving. Later, he said, "God told me to do it." The cannibal, the wife killer, both destroyed in a single morning by the one man who believed he was sent to deliver vengeance. Christopher was handed 2 more life sentences and locked away forever. Jeffrey case fueled a cultural obsession, spawning Netflix series like Monster and Interviews. But sensationalism risks distortion. Ethical storytelling demands respect for victims, not glorifying killers. Jeffrey Dahmer was a monster, but his story is not just about one man's evil. It's about violence tolerated and hidden, systems that failed, and the families left to pick up the pieces. As we remember the victims, may we also ask, what can we do to stop such darkness before it begins? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to Evidence Eye.